So heading towards the sort of back of the data discussion now, we have gone through collection, we've gone through storage, we've gone through governance, analytics, visualization. One of the final things is integration. And it's really difficult to explain because it's a process by which you have got all these applications, they've all got data in them. So your HR system's got HR data, your finance system's got finance data. And you basically need to make those things talk to each other in a way that makes it, you can make informed decisions within each application. And I'm not going to go into the minutiae of things like service-oriented architecture and that sort of stuff because that's academic, but there are some principles that people adhere to try and make all these systems talk to each other, and that is what they call data integration. And so those integration tools, what they do effectively, if you think about a piece of software, it'll talk to SAP for finance data, and it'll talk to your HR system for HR data. And it'll say, you know, if your HR system wants to find out how much budget we got for salaries this month, it'll send a request to the integration layer, the data integrator, and the data integrator will go off to the finance system and say, how much money have we got for salaries this month? That is integrating between two applications, and that is effectively data integration and what data integration products do. So if you think about from a procurement perspective what that all means, it's a license, all very straightforward. It's generally in your domain, so you don't have to worry too much about data leakage, but you do need to think about making sure that you've got sufficient interfaces between that integration piece of software and all of the things you want to integrate. So if you need an interface into SAP, you need to make sure it's got a SAP interface. If you need an interface into your HR system, into your data visualization system, all those sort of things. So the functionality and the integration, the interfaces between that integration layer and all of your systems is the most important thing to check. And making sure you've got very clear requirements, you understand how those requirements, or make sure those requirements are articulated to your suppliers, and the supplier commits to delivering against those requirements is obviously the most important part. Now, you know, in terms of sort of vendors out there, we've mentioned Apache a number of times. They've got some data orchestration tools which do these sorts of things. IBM got loads of a suite of products around here. Things like MQ series, I can't remember what it's called at the moment. It used to be called MQ series. You've got Oracle, have got their own Fusion range, which do a lot of this sort of stuff. You've got MuleSoft, which is a product that, you know, pretty much specializes in this sort of thing. Excuse me. So, you know, the market leaders are probably the bigger companies that do all the database type stuff because they know that integration is important. And you probably won't go too far wrong with someone like that, but there are loads of new entrants to the markets, and there's also loads of open source type products that you can use to support what you're trying to do around data integration. Again, procurement don't need to get too much into what this means, but if someone says I need to buy a data integration product, the main questions to ask are, how's it licensed, all the usual sort of stuff, you know, making sure you understand the terms. It can get quite expensive if it's per integration, that gets quite expensive. If you have to pay professional services to build an integration, you need to think about that. So, you know, with integration, it's more about, it's not just the software, it's all the services you need to wrap around it to make sure your integration layer can talk to all the systems it's integrating. And that's probably the biggest area of cost. Beyond that, again, data integration is a bit of the technical field. It's probably not worth getting into too much detail. I think as AI kicks off, we're going to end up with a lot more integrating between in-house systems and external systems. And in that context, I think it's definitely worth just considering making sure your data's in the right structure, your integration layer is doing the right things internally, and if there is a strategy that means you want to integrate with external, then you need to think about how the tool supports that, especially in the context of when you put artificial intelligence over all this sort of stuff. I'm feeling like this video hasn't gone very well, but I'm going to keep it as it is because I've just waffled for a really long time. But if you just think data integration is a bit of software that talks to all your systems, pulls it into one place and helps them talk to each other, you can't go too far wrong with that.